Midtown is one of Atlanta's most dynamic neighborhoods. The city's second largest business district, Midtown is home to 8 of its 10 largest law firms and headquarters to several Fortune 500 companies. Development in this district has especially boomed in the past decade, and it now holds nearly half of the city's tallest buildings. Located between downtown and Buckhead, the area perhaps best represents Atlanta's quest for wealth, progress, and the modern. Yet within these valleys of glass and steel, of getting and spending, of top dollar and bottom line, there is an edifice that appears radically out of place. Built over a century ago, yet modeled on designs of a millennium earlier, this structure that is more castle than house, monument than residence, has managed to remain in place and little changed. Fads and fashions, wars and depressions, parades and riots came and went, yet the old gray house endured, outlasting all of its contemporaries and many of the insignificant buildings that cropped up around it. In fact, it was the home and refuge of a man who was very much a creature of the world of business, progress, and Atlanta's growth. And because of his vision, the castle on Peachtree Street, Rhodes Hall, stands today. The story begins along the banks of the Ohio River in Henderson County, Kentucky. The area was famous then as the world's largest producer of dark tobacco. This was the birthplace, in 1850, of Amos Giles Rhodes. The son of a farmer and wagon maker, Rhodes was too young to serve in the Civil War, but forced to go to work at an early age when the war devastated the local economy. He worked first as a teamster and later as a railroad laborer.
He was one of 8 children, and it's believed that he had no more than a 5th grade education. So he's very much a self-made man. He went to work at an early age. There's wonderful stories that he actually sold pies that his mother made to Union soldiers during the Civil War.
He made his way south to Atlanta. When he arrived in 1875, his worldly goods consisted of a horse and buggy, a gold watch, and $75 in cash. In 1875, Atlanta was still rebuilding from the ravages of the Civil War. Not only had Sherman burned the city to the ground, his men had made repair of Atlanta's arteries, the railroad tracks, impossible by heating them and twisting them completely out of shape. Thus there was a demand for strong backs to put down new iron, and Amos Rhodes, or A.G. as he was known, went to work for the L&N Railroad. His wages were probably not more than $35 a month. Within a year, Rhodes had married Amanda Doherty, a seamstress from Cobb County, Georgia. They would have 2 children, Joseph, born 1877, and Luana, born 1879. By the time of his daughter's birth, Rhodes had come to realize the opportunities the growing city held for an entrepreneur, and he opened a small shop on Decatur Street, moving his family into the space upstairs. In this location, he tried several forms of merchandise. Picture frames, which he made himself, then clocks. Finally, he settled on furniture. Rhodes's genius was not only in his choice of goods, but in putting them within reach of a population that was short of funds, if not destitute. Rhodes is credited with introducing the installment plan to furniture sales. First alone, and then with his son and a team of agents, Rhodes brought pictures of new products to his customers' homes and collected weekly payments due from other customers on the same route. The idea made his business boom. Soon, A.G. Rhodes's own family was able to own the furnishings they sold instead of sitting on the crates they came in. In the 1880s, the Rhodes Company grows with the city. By 1880, Atlanta is the largest city in Georgia. Atlanta newspaper editor Henry Grady coins the term the New South. Rutherford Hayes becomes the first sitting president to visit the city. The International Cotton Exposition, a World's Fair, is held with 7 nations participating. A new Capitol building is constructed. Trolley lines reach further into the suburbs, expanding the workforce for factories and offices. And an Atlanta pharmacist makes a new concoction he calls Coca-Cola. At the end of the decade, Rhodes was itching to expand and formed a partnership with another furniture retailer, James J. Haverty. The new company opened a flagship store downtown and then expanded throughout the southern region, with 16 more stores operating under the Rhodes Haverty name and valued at $1.3 million. Although their furniture partnership amicably dissolved in 1908, the 2 men remained friends and partners in other endeavors. Their investment company built the 21-story Rhodes Haverty building, which was the tallest building in Atlanta for the next quarter century, and remains standing today.
I would say one of my most interesting and favorite stories about Mr. Rhodes would be that though he's known for being one of the most successful furniture magnates here in the Southeast, he was into a lot of different business ventures. He had real estate holdings all over the Southeast. He had construction companies, all sorts of various companies, and he was always looking to expand his empire, so to speak. His niece had a wonderful quote about Mr. Rhodes, which I think it really gives good light to his personality. She said you could throw Amos Rhodes into the ocean with nothing more than a pair of socks on and he would emerge with a dry goods store. So he was a very, very savvy businessman and a wonderful, wonderful addition to the city of Atlanta.
When the new century arrived, A.G. and Amanda were ready to consider building a home which would represent not only their affluence, but their values and tastes. They had visited Europe in the late 1890s. In particular, they had marveled at the great medieval castles that lined the Rhine River in Germany. The romance of the past lingered as they dreamed of a new home for themselves. Luckily, Atlanta had just the architect to design such a building.